TK421, wire 2 at your post. TK421, do you copy?
Hello, this is Pilot TK421, leaving my post to bring you what I'm going to call TK's Min-Maxer's Guide to the Hangar Deck. I'm pretty sure by now everyone has figured out that if your robot dies rather quickly on the battlefield, you add some armor units to it, and well, if it isn't hitting hard enough, you add some nuclear reactors to it, or if you don't like getting locked down, you can add some anti-control modules to your robots. So I won't be covering those in videos. So what will I be covering then? Well, I'll be covering Das Drones, Das New Meta. And as per usual, I'll be filming this in a few different parts, and well, whenever I do have to pause out or whatever, I'll just leave a transition. Alright, and I'm here on my Game Center account. I'm here because I got a relatively low-level hangar, and I figure it would be best to show you some of the earlier stuff for low levels. I might do a second video from my Steam hangar, or I might include that in this video. It all depends on how long this video takes. And that being said, well, let's just get into it here. So, what are drones and why do we need them? Well, drones are pretty much the key to having a build that works and one that doesn't. Without drones, you won't be nearly as effective in battle as you could be. How do drones do that? Well, in order to find out, you must master the art of the minimum maximum, or min-maxing as I like to call it. Min-maxing is something that I used a lot in Star Trek Online. Star Trek Online is kind of like a Star Trek themed World of Warcraft. And with min-maxing I was able to build ships that could solo raid bosses that would normally take about 10-20 players to handle. So you might be asking, what is min-maxing? Well, according to sources on the internet, min-maxing is the character building strategy of maximizing a specific desirable ability, skill, or other power of a character and minimizing everything else seen as undesirable. As an example, let's just say that you have a character in a game that has a high counter-attack rate with a high attack power and a high critical hit chance, but it usually dies in one hit because it doesn't have very good defenses or hit points. Doesn't really sound very useful, but if you add some armor that increases defenses and hit points, and add some items that will regenerate hit points and boost critical hit chance, and can possibly intercept attacks meant for allies, well, at that point in time, you've got a terrible beast of brawling that usually hits for criticals, can protect weaker allies, and get extra attacks in when attacked. So, how does that apply to war robots? Well, as I said earlier, drones are the key to being able to fully min-max your build. Why is that important? Because then you can actually start building your own meta robots, or ways to actually counter meta robots. I mean, as we all know, if a robot has low durability, you add some armor. If the weapons aren't quite hitting hard enough, you add some reactors, but drones allow you to actually further that by adding more defenses or more attack power, or even status effects. So that being said, let's just take a look at drones here. And well, basically there's two types of drones, and let's just take a look at the store here. We've got the Defender and the Fly, which is basically your defense and your attack drones. Fun fact, both drones actually do have drone models that do shoot, but you need an arms controller for that, which I might get into later here. But basically with a defense, you're basically allowed to use, defense and repair type microchips. And with the attack ones, you're allowed to use, basically effect type and attack type, but you do get some drones that actually have a mix of the two or whatever. One second, I'm checking my notes here. Okay, basically, what you want to do really is take a look at your robot and figure out what it's lacking before you decide what kind of drone you want to use. And for example, each of the drones I have corresponds to one of the robots in the hangar deck, the same drone for the same hangar slot, basically. And for example, on my Raker, it needs a little bit more defense and whatnot, so I've got a defensive drone. And for abilities, it's got the built-in ability which can heal for damage if you receive 70,000 damage in 5 seconds. It's not a lot of hit points, but it helps out here and there and can mean the difference between you living or not living in an attack. And then you've got stuff like adding defense points when you've got low durability. This one here, for example, will give me 35 defense points. Oh, sorry, 10 defense points. I was thinking of the higher ranked modules. But it'll last for 20 seconds and has a 15-second cooldown time. But if my robot's durability falls below 35%, I get 10 defense points, which helps negate some of the damage. And then I've got, another module which will, repair 7,000 hit points if I take 70,000 damage within 5 seconds. Like I said, it's not a lot, but it can be the difference between, living or not in an engagement. And then I have, other stuff like the attack one here, which, the main ability here is whenever you use an active module, you'll increase your damage output for 7 seconds. I got a freeze module and another modulative intensifier on here for an attack, but overall you want to basically use your defensive drones for stuff like your defensive bots that need a little bit more defense, or offensive ones for ones that needed a little bit of offense, or if it doesn't really matter, like with the Fenrir here, well, you can do what I did, and I'm just using a basic repair one for now until I get some better drones on this account. But that being said, there's not really any such thing as the best drone for any one robot, but there is a drone that is good for various roles. Actually, I probably will go into part 2 here on my Steam account, because this actually didn't take as long as I thought it would to go through, but yeah, basically that's about it for the basics of the drones here. So yeah, I guess I'll go into part 2 and I'll go into some of the advanced min-maxing here for my Steam account, so stick around. Alright, and I'm here on my Steam account for the second part of the video that I'm doing here, because I've got a little bit more stuff to work with to show you what I mean. But this part I'm calling Advanced Min-Maxing and Building Beautiful Beasts of the Battlefield. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, TK, aren't you shooting yourself in the foot on this one? Probably, but I'm also helping myself out in the long run too, because chances are at some point in time some of you might be on my team, so in a way it's in everybody's best interest that they be able to know just what kinds of things are capable of being done with robots on the battlefield. Plus, I have a few theories on where the game is going based on what I'm seeing that has already been added into the game thus far, and this is 100% pure speculation and hearsay. I wrote it on the back of a cereal box myself, and it should not be taken as fact in the least, but I am seeing signs of war robots possibly be going towards maybe being a hybrid of a MMORPG with the League Arena as endgame content, and I think that soon we might also be seeing the addition of possibly an AI-controlled faction as a common threat. But, like I says, that's pure speculation and hearsay on my part, and I can actually provide some supporting evidence already in-game, but like I says, it's still just pure speculation and hearsay, and I have no clue what Pixonic is actually planning, but I think it'd be a cool idea. Maybe I should do a video on that. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked even when I write notes. Go DK! Where was I? Oh yeah, beautiful beasts of the battlefield. Okay everyone, this is where it gets a little bit weird. Once you have two hangar decks, like I have here, kind of want to set up your hangar slots for different roles on the battlefield that you like to play. For example, I've got scout role here. I've got two sniper types and a couple of close to mid-range brawlers or whatever, or just brawling types I should say, because this is my 500 meter range. 500 meter plus range, sorry, hangar. And this hangar here is for 500 meters and closer maps. Just generally smaller maps that have a little bit more cover and whatnot. But, that's pretty much the only difference between the two hangars that I have, other than, well, the weapons obviously, because you use different weapons for closer ranges and whatnot. When it comes to roles, you want to build a robot with weapons that can fill as many roles as possible. For example, my Warrior Typhon here. I use it mainly as a mid to long range sniper or mid to close range support due to the Typhon's ability. So normally I tend to run pulsars and wasps on it, mostly because they do lockdown and corrode. And if we take a look at the drone that I actually use for the Warrior Typhon, it's the eye drone. And for modules, I've got freeze, I've got a suppress, and a modulative intensifier with a imitating rifle shooter. The built-in ability is already a modulative intensifier, so that just stacks so that it gives 40% increase, I believe it is, in damage output. And then because I've got these two modules on here, that gives my Warrior Typhon the ability to lock down, corrode, suppress, and freeze an enemy, which comes in handy kind of on PC, because if you deselect your wasps and use your alternate fire button, you can actually freeze the enemy before, and lock them down actually, before you start firing your wasps at them, making sure that most of your wasp rounds actually hit the target, which is kind of nifty. And you can also do something like what I did with my Raker's drone here. I've got a Nebula drone. The drone ability itself is a repair. If you receive more than 100,000 damage in 3 seconds, you're getting 58% of your repairable durability. And as for the modules I run, I usually run a couple of these defense on heals, purple absorber shield, and a freeze unit. And that gives me both lockdown, freeze, and suppress on my Raker. And if I were to use, say, Viper or a Hornet, I would actually have lockdown, freeze, suppress, and corrode. Let's see, back to my notes here. Yeah, I think that pretty much about covers everything. Raker's a good example of, I should mention, of being able to cover multiple roles. I can actually cover being a mid-range sniper, support role, or a brawling role in a pinch if I really need to. Well, it depends on the weapons you're running. That's actually the reason why I run the biomechanoid nucleon, or just a nucleon in general, is works good for if you have to brawl in a pinch while you're reloading your magnetars, or even shredders if you decide to use shredders. But like I says, that's just, some of the possibilities of what can be done with robots and stuff on the battlefield, and how to use your modules and stuff like that. I pretty much tend to cover any deficits with builds and whatnot, such as low durabilities with stuff like the balanced units or armor units, and well, if it needs a little bit of extra oomph, I give it a module of nuclear amplifiers or whatever, something to increase the damage. But yeah, that's pretty much about all I got to say about drones and stuff like that in this one. So I think that that being said, I will just duck on out, and in the meantime, stay safe, have fun, and happy hunting, everyone.